Going. Ooh, Zoom's just changed your voice. Doesn't sound quite so robotic. All right. So hello and welcome to the Fresno City Toastmasters meeting. I'm your president, Joey Myers, and we are in our in-person and online version of Fresno City Toastmasters. What I like to do is, for those that have an agenda, is the bottom left corner of the page I'd like you to focus on. That's our mission statement. So always like to read that before we get going. And that is, we provide a supportive and positive learning experience in which members are empowered to develop communication and leadership skills, resulting in greater self-confidence and personal growth. And I always like to underline the first couple words there: supportive and positive learning experience, which we all, as we know, as Chanel's repeated, I think the last couple meetings, is that public speaking is right under death. I think fear of death is like not even first. It's public speaking, then death. So it is a tough thing. Thanks, George. Thank you, sir. I'll get you after.
Yeah, you're all good.
But we want to make sure that people understand it's a supportive and a positive learning experience to get better at either both communication, public speaking, and or leadership skills. For the business, any kind of club business going on, so we have a contest coming up, which we aren't going to have any members go into the contest, but they are looking for volunteers. Obviously, guests, you don't have to worry about this. This is more for Chanel and Sarah and I guess. Is they're going to need volunteers for judges. So if you're available, Sarah, Chanel, I don't know if you ladies are, but it's this Saturday, I think. It's fun. I mean, it's fun to go into, and I think it's actually, they have a in-person and online, so it's a hybrid. So you don't necessarily have to go where they're at, which is, I think it's at one of the police stations. It might be downtown, at the downtown one, maybe. I think is what I saw. I can forward over that email and the flyer. So for those that maybe want to can go in, but they need judges. That's the big thing. And if we're not competing in it, we don't have contestants in there. Judges, it's a better thing because you don't have a bias and you're not obviously competing. So, being a judge is probably not the best thing there. So that's what's going on Saturday. I think Chanel mentioned about dues. Our renewing dues are the end of April 30th, March 30th.
March.
I think we got in trouble last couple of years ago.
Yeah,
We thought it was April.
Every 6 months.
So yeah, so March 30th is that. So I'll send out an email to our members who are going to be renewing on that, and that is the normal $60 to renew. So that's coming up, and then the one after that would be September 30th for our guests. It's every 6 months we pay dues, and when you're renewing, $60. If you're starting off, it'll be prorated. So if you decided you wanted to join before the March 30th, it would be prorated. So it's going to be something like, I think, $35. I sent that application out. I think I had it in there, something like that, right? So it's like $35 prorated. And then at the end of March, you'd pay the extra 60, and that would carry you through September. So any questions on that, we can. Yeah,
so the application you sent, what do you suggest? Print it out, fill it out, and bring it here?
If you want to.
Or just do it online and email it?
Either one, because I think you can fill it. I think you can fill it in online. I think it's one of those PDF. You can fill it in.
How will we make payment online?
So it'll have a space like at the last page, the third page, there'll be a space there for, yeah, you'd have to write that down probably. So if you maybe scan it, you can email it to me, or you can fill it out, print it out, fill it out, and bring it in. Either one works. Yeah, either one works. Yeah, good question, Rich. Other than that, anything else, Chanel, club business wise coming up? Dues?
I think we need to adjust the rules for today.
Yes, we do. You're right. Yep. Sarah's here. So we got our Toastmaster. Corinne, he was supposed to, Chanel's getting her phone in here. So Corinne was going to try, he had a deposition today. So he was going to try and jump in. So what we can do, so Sarah's Toastmaster, and
I'll take general evaluator because I can't do timer from here because
I'll do timer. Chanel was supposed to speak. She's not able to do her speech today. So maybe we'll have Chanel. Chanel, you good with doing general evaluator?
Yeah.
We'll do general eval. And then Sarah, do you want to do the ahs and ums?
Sure.
Or you want to do both of those, or you want Sarah to pick up on one of those?
Okay.
So, I'll counter and let Sarah do general eval.
Sure.
All right, Sarah, you got both torches on that one.
It sounds like she wants to do both, so go ahead. Go ahead, Chanel, you got it.
No, she gave it up. She said you could do general evaluator, Sarah, so you get it. Be careful what you wish for, Sarah. And then Chanel will do, I'll counter for Denny. All right, Chanel. Okay, and other than that, I think we're good. So I got I'll pick up timer for Corinne. We got our thing here, and I think that's about it. Good, so Chanel, ready to go? So with that being said, I will pass the baton over to Miss Sarah Dawson, who is our Toastmaster of the day.
Thank you so much, Joey. Today is Valentine's Day, so happy Valentine's Day, everybody. I think one of the things that I like best about Valentine's Day is how we celebrate it where I work. So I work at a homeless shelter for women and single women and single women with children. And for years, probably like 40 something years, every Valentine's Day week, we have Heart Sisters Week. And so instead of, because a lot of times the ladies that we deal with are ladies who come in who have had bad relationships and varying things. Sometimes they have good relationships, but a lot of times it's just something that has not been something of value as something is worthwhile. And so we get to love on each other in a different way, not like the normal, like you would like a Valentine's Day between like a guy and a girl, but just loving each other as just loving each other well. And so we get to not only share, because we are a Christian shelter, we get to share God's love with them, but then we also get to share it with each other. And so we celebrate by an entire week. We have our secret sister and we get to exchange gifts with each other. And then we have a big luncheon and then a revealing at the end. And so that's just one way to celebrate Valentine's Day. And I think there's lots of different ways that people celebrate it or don't celebrate it. And yeah, it's fun. So I hope each of you will be able to celebrate in your own way today, whether you're very much against it or very much for it. You can celebrate whichever way. And then I'm going to turn it over to the general evaluator, which today happens to be me. So yay, taking on the second role. Here we go. And so for the general evaluator, as this role, it's just getting to evaluate the meeting as a whole. And then we get to break it down by having a team with us. That's probably why I appreciate this role, is because we don't have to do this all on our own. We get to help each other and be able to all be a part of helping each other grow and to learn. And part of my team will be the grammarian, which Joey, I believe you took on. So Joey, if you want to explain what you do for the grammarian and word of the day.
You got it. Thank you, Sarah. So grammarian or word of the day is here, quixotic, which I have typed into the chat for Sarah, anybody online, and Alex to look at. So you have the word, you have the meaning, which is extravagantly chivalrous or romantic, visionary or impractical. And part of the word of the day is we try and get it to parallel what our theme is, which is Valentine's Day. So I think this is a very fitting word for that. And using it in a sentence, you can see with the quotes there, though the couple would have lived a romantic getaway to Paris, they settled for a far less quixotic evening of a candlelit dinner at home. So my job with the word of the day is to track and see who uses it today. Now, our guess is we'll be getting a bonus for being able to use it and work it in today. You're not privy to the investment. We used to call them fees or fines. We can't call it that. It has to be a good positive word. So we call them investments in the club. So if you don't use the word of the day, neglect to use word of the day, it's 50 cents per member after about 6 months. So even if you're a member 6 months, you don't have to worry about paying 50 cents. I know it's a lot, 50 cents. So that is the pro penalty, good penalty, I guess. Is penalty a good or bad word? But that's what I'll be doing today, is tracking who uses quixotic.
Thank you very much, Joey.
Enhancement. There you go. Yep. Got it. James has it.
Yes. Here we go. And next up is our awe counter, the lovely Chanel.
My name's Chanel. I've been a part of Fresno City Toastmasters for about 3 years now. I'm going to be the awe counter today. This is a role that keeps track of crutch words that we use during the meeting. Those are ahs, ers, long drawn out pauses where we might hesitate, and also any transition words like so and that we might rely on too much in conversation. I'll be listening for those and keeping track of which words individual people might tend to use more than others. And then at the end of the meeting, I will give a report on that.
Good stuff. And now over to Chanel to be our timer.
Are you gonna be our timer or are you going to? I'll do it because you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Joey.
So Joe.
I think we were very clear.
There was all kinds of words flying at you, Sarah, fast and furious. So I'll be the timer for today. So for James, have you been to Toastmasters before?
First time.
First time. All right, cool. All right. Sometimes old members come in who've been part of the club and they come in so they kind of know what's going on. I know Rich is going to be your second time, right? So timer, what I'm going to be doing today, since we don't have a speeches are generally 5 to 7 minutes, and we do our green at 5 minutes. We do our yellow red on here. There's a little fuse thing going on in here, but that's going to be at 6 minutes, or would be at 6 minutes, and then red would be at 7. So it's just a way for the speaker to know where they're at on their time. But today, and we'll have evaluations too. So there'll be an evaluator that will evaluate the speech based on the speech criteria. So for instance, Chanel, what's this next speech? Do you know what the criteria is or the purpose of the speech?
The speech that I have left is the very last one for my path, and so it's kind of a synthesis of everything.
And it's like 15 minutes or something.
It's supposed to be like 18 to 22 minutes.
Yeah. So then that one would be, I mean, we could probably do like at 15 would be green, 17 would be yellow. We can deviate a little bit with the bigger speeches, but
Yeah, but the normal speech is in
5 to 7. Yeah. So don't swallow your tongue at 18 to 20. Chanel's
So I
giving,
haven't done it yet.
she's giving quite, it's a lot. Yeah. And sometimes we might have to curb table topics because the speech is a little long, which you don't tend to like to do because we want our guests to be able to get in here and do it. But if we have to do that to get her speeches, her pathway done, then we'll do that. But we will be doing table topics today, and that is 1 to 2 minutes. So 1 minute will be at green, 2 or 1.5 will be at the yellow red, and then that red will be at 2 minutes. And we get about 30 seconds after 2. So 2:30, if we were doing a speech contest, a table topic speech contest, that we could wrap it up and we won't get disqualified, which would be like 2:31 or 2:30, I think is, I don't know if it's your foot has to touch the chalk like in football, or it has to be beyond the chalk, something like that. But you want to be within that 1 to 2 minutes, and then you got a little about 29 seconds of leeway. So that's what I'll be doing today, and probably just do the Zoom too. Does that sound okay with you, Sarah? So the Zoom, real simple. I just push record. I push stop record at the end of this one. If I was virtual, then I can maybe get the panes around whoever's talking or speaking, be a little bit more technical on the videos there, but I'll just be pushing record and pushing stop record at the end of this thing. All right, back to you, Sarah.
Thank you very much, Joey. With that, yay, with that, that's the rest of that's the entire team and all its various roles. And then I will get to turn it over. So now I'm in my role as Toastmaster again, and I get to introduce our table topics master, which also happens to be Joey Myers. Go, Joey. Yay.
Yeah, we like to say that Toastmasters wears many hats. So this is something where we got a smaller, more tight-knit group. We will fill multiple roles, you'll see, in different things. And that's all part of like the leadership component of Toastmasters. Is coming into Toastmasters, if you know what it is, it's public speaking. Oh, I want to get better at public speaking. But there's that element of leadership in fulfilling different roles. Could be just one role, could be as easy as timer, or could be as easy as Zoom, just push and record and push and stop. Or you could be doing Toastmaster and general evaluator, like what Sarah's doing today. And you might be doing a role that you didn't know what you're going to be doing, like Chanel. She was going to be giving a speech today, didn't work out. And so she's going to be fulfilling other roles. So she didn't know that coming into it. Now she understands what the roles are. She can just kind of hop into it. It's not like our guests I have no clue what I'm supposed to do with the timer thing. So over time, you learn that aspect of it. And I think that's part of the run and gun of fulfilling different roles you didn't know you were going to be doing, that you end up having to do. And there's that anxiety we were talking about, Rich, right? Where you asked me, you get that anxiety that you did in the beginning, and we get it, but it's not quite like in the beginning before we started the training, because we've learned to adapt and be able to fulfill roles. And we were probably very, very nervous when we get a role that we didn't think we needed to have. So over time, with practice, you get better at that. All right, so we're going to do the table topics portion of the meeting. And I will put this up here so we can see it when you come up here, if you can use that word, or you can look at it over here. So table topics is the portion of Toastmasters where we learn how to do speaking impromptu. So today I brought out my list of questions, which Chanel did this last time. So Rich is very familiar with this one, I think. And Alex ended up coming to the open house too, so he might be familiar with it as well. So what this is 365 table topics. So for every day of the year, what I like to do with this is you volunteer. We ask for volunteers at first. You will pick a number between 1 and 365. I will read the question and you will answer it. So either, now this is scary as a guess, I know. So what you can do is either, if you want to be brave and pick the number, get the question, you have no clue what the question is going to be, or if there's a previous question that we answered, which will probably Chanel, Sarah, and myself will jump in probably first. So there'll be 3 questions there that you can answer instead of picking the number and doing that. The other thing I want to add is that this is obviously recorded. So if you don't want to be recorded, obviously as a guest, then just let me know and I can just click the pause button. So just let that, because this is going up on YouTube. Okay, just want you to know. And the other thing I want to mention, especially when it comes to hybrid and you have a camera right here, is when you come up, I think most of us are we're not vertically challenged, I think is what the word we used before. So somebody comes in and they're this way, right? And you just see them talking and you just see the head, the top of the head. And so just, if you're vertically challenged, then we just move the screen. It's okay to move the screen. If it's this way and you come up and you're like 6'8", then just move the screen here so that you're filling the rectangle there. So just a couple of things that you can do. So take your time. Sometimes it gives you a little bit of time to think too. You adjusting the screen, right? Stalling a little bit. Yeah. All right. Now, with that being said, which one of you lucky ladies, Sarah or Chanel, wants to go first, right? Or I could go first. I can give you a Chanel. All right. Pick a number.
322.
Ooh. You see, I might be on the last page. Here.
Joe, you said
Yes, sir.
you either answer 3 of the questions. I don't remember the questions. What are the questions that?
So what we'll do is, 322. So Chanel will answer one, and either myself or Sarah will do the next one. So there'll be 3, and you can go off at either one of those. So 322, you ready? What is the number 1 quality that makes someone a good leader? I'll read it again. What is the number 1 quality that makes someone a good leader?
I will answer this drawing from my own experience in leadership and being a part of teams. And I actually have 2 specific qualities that come to mind. The first is good leaders need to have the ability to listen to input from team members who have strengths that they do not. I think another way to word that is good leaders need to be able to recognize what their weaknesses are so that they can intentionally surround themselves with people who have strengths where they are weak. This is really important, especially in a team environment, because if, say that a leader is somebody who's very visionary and has lots of great ideas and ideation, which a lot of leaders of organizations can tend to be that way, but they may not have skills in being in focusing on execution or strategy. And so it's good for that leader then to surround themselves with people who balance out their weaknesses. And then the second thing I would say is it's important for good leaders to be able to delegate tasks to people around them. Delegation is really important in being able to get things done and being able to create a plan and then execute it. And oftentimes it falls to the leader to help people understand what their roles are supposed to be in the team environment. Those are two things that I've observed working in teams and qualities that I know I appreciate about leaders who I have worked under. So in short, that's my answer to the question, what are the qualities that make a good leader?
Thank you, Chanel. Sarah, do you want to go? You want me to go?
I'll go. Let's
All
see.
right.
240.
All right, 240. This one here. All right, you ready?
Yes.
240. Who is your mentor and what have you learned from them? So we got one more time. Who is your mentor and what have you learned from them?
That's a great question. I'd have to first establish who my mentor is and in which area of my life, because I have multiple people in my life that I look up to and glean information from. I guess since we're at Toastmasters, I will go with my Toastmasters mentor, who happens to be Denny Mason, and she's still part of the club. She's not here today. What I love about Denny is that she has this attitude of take no prisoners, in a sense, of where she's just gonna go for it. Like there's no waffling, there's nothing in between. She just goes for it and encourages me to do the same. I'm not sure if I'm explaining that quite right, but it's just this confident attitude where you just know that if you do what she says, it's gonna help you do better. And so she is like, okay, this is what we're gonna do. And she has some odd things that she's done with me that, you know, most people, I think I got to talk about it a little bit last week or the week before, when she took me out and outside in the alley and made me yell from one side to the other because I didn't talk loud enough. And so she's just very creative in those things and very confident of like, this is what we're gonna do and let's go do it. And so I have enjoyed learning that from her of that leadership quality that Chanel was talking about. So that's what I enjoy about my mentor. Thanks, Joey.
Thank you, Sarah. Yeah, Denny is one of the OGs. She's been with Toastmasters almost as long as at least Fresno City Toastmasters, almost as long as I have. And she's also gotten into Rotary. I think she was a president of Rotary a year or two ago, something like that. Reedley Rotary.
That's why she joined Toastmasters.
That was why. That was.
For the role.
You're right. Exactly. Right. So yeah, Denny's a great mentor, and that's one of the things that we offer here at Toastmasters is mentorship, and it doesn't cost anything extra. It's all part of the deal. But if you come in and there's somebody that you like speaking, and you're like, hey, Chanel, I want you to be my mentor, and that mentorship can take any form that you want. It's as much or as little of touch points connection that you would like. It could be just over email. It could be getting together. It could be phone call, and all it is, hey, what do I do here? You know, what do I do here? In this speech, this is my structure. What do you think? Or I've had some of my mentees send me their speech and read through it and see, hey, how's this? What do you think? That kind of thing. So it can be as much or as little as you want, but we do that. If you want us to assign a mentor, we can do that as well. But that is a part of our program, because I know it can seem a little overwhelming in the beginning, joining Toastmasters or so much. And then after a while, you kind of get the beat of the drum, and then it's a little bit easier going forward. So thank you, Sarah. And then I will do the other one. And if our guests want to jump in, now you don't have to. We do say that you don't have to, but I will open that up, and you can either take the number or answer a question that was already asked. So I will. 177. So let's see here. We just did tryouts for Little League Baseball this last weekend. So it's like bringing back memories, almost nightmares of having all these pages and having to write down all this kind of stuff. We had probably 200 something kids out there. Oh my gosh. 177. How would the world be different if you somebody must have picked this one before, or maybe I did. How would the world be different if you were never born? How would the world be different if you were never born? All right. Yeah. Well, I would like to think that the world would be a little bit different if I were born, that there'd be a little less laughter, I think. Laughter. I like to make people laugh. I like to kid people a little bit in a good, friendly way to get and break tension sometimes. Good example was last night. So our son, who's 10, he's got a couple friends. He's got a lot of good friends. He's a good friend maker because he listens. And I always tell him, I say, God gave you 2 ears and one mouth for a reason, to listen 2 times more than you talk. And he exemplifies that to a T. And I tell him the reason why you have a lot of friends, and Corinne just showing up. The reason why you have a lot of friends is because of that. You don't tend to run your mouth. You just listen to what people have to say. And so there's 2 other friends that were, hey, Corinne,
Hi.
that are newer to the kind of group. And some of them are doing some interesting things that we have to talk through and have teaching moments through. And so with him, I hope that I rub off on him, along with a lot of my other friends and family and things like that, is being able to take from my own experience. I would say that I paid the dumb tax. You don't have to. I tell my kids that. And use examples from my life that he can learn from, and also can make me a little bit more, less of dad and more of, oh, that's an interesting story. And it makes me a little bit more, I guess, personable to him, instead of me just being an authority figure telling him what to do all the time. He knows that dad screws up. And that's the thing, is we don't want our kids thinking that they have to be perfect, because it's not going to happen. So I hope to think that what I help with others is that I rub off that, hey, it's okay to make mistakes, as long as you're learning and then picking yourself up and then trying to do a little bit better the next time, and just every day, just 1% a little bit better. So I hope if I was never born, I hope that people would be a little, well, actually, I wouldn't hope that they were a little bit more gloomy, but I hope I'm picking people up, should I say, with that kind of an attitude. So with that, I will ask for, or Corinne. Oh, so Corinne, so we're doing our, unless the guests want to jump in, but you got one more question if you want.
Okay, table topics.
Yeah. Oh, Rich wants to jump in. So Corinne, what we're doing is we're doing our 365 list. So when you come up, you're just picking a number and jumping into it.
I think I'm gonna do the legal.
Okay.
Okay. So Rich is coming up. So hold on, Corinne. Rich is our guest is gonna come up, and then we'll get you. Come on up, Rich.
It was the one characteristic.
What was that your number?
What do you think
The
it
one
was
thing-
322 was the number.
322. Get that one again. On the last page. 322. So that was, what is the number one quality that makes someone a good leader? So one more time. What is the number one quality that makes someone a good leader?
Got it.
Got it.
Hello, everybody. Hello, everyone. So there's a lot of qualities that make up great leaders. There's so many I can name, but I would say one of the most important qualities, I believe, is vision for a leader. You got to have great vision to be a leader. You got to know where you're going so you can lead the group of people in the right direction. You got to be able to see things before anyone else sees it. So that way you can have proper planning and make sure everything goes well, whatever you guys are doing. So that's just one is vision. I think is very important. Of course, there's many other characteristics that a good leader needs to have. There's I'm trying to think, and yeah, a lot of other good characteristics that are I'm trying to use the word quixotic, but I can't work it into this speech some kind of way. And also just, confidence is another one. I know we just said one, but it's kind of hard to just keep it in, one thing as far as a great leader, because there's so many things involved, but definitely vision is very important. I know I keep saying that.
That's all right.
And confidence is very important as well. You got to be confident. You got to, people got to believe you, got to trust you, and trust that what's the next step or what's the next goal. So that way, everyone is benefited in the right direction. That's it. Thank you.
Awesome, Rich. There you go. Yep.
Felt more comfortable today.
Yeah, there you go. A little less of a crowd too, so that helps a little bit. Yeah. Very good. Very good. All right. James, you want to let Corinne jump in?
I'll let Corinne
All right, Corinne.
go.
All right. So do you want to pick the number, Corinne, or
Yes.
did you want to answer? Okay. What's your number?
301.
301. Last page today. Oh, it wasn't last page. Second to last page. 301. What are the top 3 qualities you look for in a friend? One more time. What are the top 3 qualities you look for in a friend?
Well, let me start with the fact that I'm not a quixotic person, but I want to live in a quixotic world. And top 3 qualities for my friend. Number 1 is loyalty. I think that's the most important thing, if anything else, in friendship. Number 2 is patience. I'm going to turn it off because it's windy outside, so I have a bad connection. Number 2 is patience. And number 3 is consistency. Those are the qualities I'm looking for in friendship. So loyalty, patience, and consistency. As a friend, I'm hoping that I'm really into all of these qualities, but that's not for me to judge. But I have a lot of friends who have those qualities, and I appreciate that. So that would be my answer.
Thank you, sir.
You're welcome.
And my qualities too. I share your qualities about friends very much. Ready?
Yeah.
James is ready. All right, come on up, James. So did you want to answer one of the existing questions, or did you want to? All right. Okay. Let's see here. So 37 is, when was the last time you listened to the sound of your own breathing? One more time. When was the last time? And you could pick another one if you want. We can roll the dice again. When was the last time you listened to the sound of your own breathing?
When is the last time I listened to the sound of my own breathing? One of the quixotic elements of my life is that I married my wife after knowing her 5 weeks. And she seems to be the one listening to the sound of my breathing more than myself, because she'll often say, "Why are you breathing so loud?" That brings it to my attention, and so I start listening to it. I don't know why she comments on the sound of my breathing. I think there's other things to comment about that are certainly more interesting than the sound of my breathing, but that seems to be the one that gets her attention from time to time. So that would be the answer to that question, although the word of the day, quixotic, just seems providential for me because I've never been happy with the pronunciation. I mean, it comes from Quixote, Don Quixote, the character of the musical, which I'm drawing a blank on, but you say Quixote, so why don't you say chaotic instead of quixotic? Well, I just heard myself breathe. I think that's the end of my speech.
Love it. Thanks, James. All right. Got it. Very cool. Well, thanks for our guests that are here in person. Jump right in there. Awesome. And Alex, you don't have to do this, brother, but I just have to ask. Chanel's kicking me under the table. I know, yeah.
I do have long
Yeah,
legs.
James said she's got long legs. Yeah, not that long though. We're quite far apart. All right, so we good on that? And we are looking at pretty good timing to give us some time to also answer some questions at the end too from our guests. All right, with that, I will send the baton back over to Miss Sarah Dawson to put her general evaluator hat on.
Well, thank you so much. Here we go. All right, as general evaluator, I'm gonna invite my team back up. Joey, since you're standing right there, would you go ahead and give your multiple reports of all the different things that you kept track of today?
Will do. Thank you, Sarah. So let's start with the timer report. We had most everybody go, and we love that part because it's not only good for us to do what Table Topics is all about, but also we get to hear and learn a little bit about our guests and our members and things like that and what they share. So Chanel came in so remember, this was a 1 to 2 minute speech. Chanel came in at 1:38. Sarah came in at 1:24. Joey 2:19. I didn't get disqualified though. I wasn't between 1 and 2, and I like to talk. James will learn this the more meetings he goes to. I think Rich has already learned that. We talk about it a lot. Rich came in at 1:26. James came in at 1:36 as well. So he came in right in that 1 to 2 area. And then Mr. Perrin, contingent 1:02. So everybody did well. I went over, but it wasn't disqualified. So everybody did great on that timer report. So now the word of the day. So Corinne used it. James used it twice. Was that it? Did I miss anybody? I didn't even use it, although I'm off the hook. I like what James did though. He's bringing into the Latin side of it and Don Quixote and all that. So I like that. I probably should have said that from the beginning. It would have been an easier maybe for us to formulate and work it in. And Rich tried. So I'll give him that bonus as a guest. Yeah. Yeah. So that is my word of the day report. Back to you, Sarah.
Thank you so much, Joey. Appreciate that. And I'm going to go back over to Chanel, and she can add one more to my list. She comes up to give her counter report.
And James, I had the same thought about the pronunciation of that. Don Quixote is a Spanish book, right? I want to say it's old, like maybe 1600s, 1700s. I think the author's name is Miguel Cervantes. So my guess is that the words have been anglicized, right? So it's no, we don't pronounce it in the proper Spanish pronunciation, but with an English pronunciation. I'm going to give our and report today. Joey, I caught 2 from you. An and an That's rare. He usually doesn't have any. Sarah, you had 1 that I caught, which was good. Another note that I wanted to make is you started off your table topic with I guess, and I think that didn't convey the greatest confidence. So watch out for that when we're getting up. Even if we're not 100% confident, just own it, right? act like you are. I had at least 1 and a couple of those that I caught on myself. I might have had more. Corinne, I didn't catch anything from you. You also didn't do too much speaking today. And then I'm not going to count all of the odds and ums for our guests who are not club members yet. But you guys, you did well. Thanks for getting up here. That is the on report for today. Pass it back over to Sarah to give an evaluation of the meeting.
I guess it would help if I unmuted. Here we go. Thank you so much, Chanel, and thank you, Joey, for both being part of the team today and giving our evaluations. Generally, I think we got started a little bit late. It was pretty much all on Joey to make everything happen. So thank you, Joey, for taking the reins while the rest of us were out. And thank you, Chanel, for jumping in and getting this all started. I anticipate, because Joey's going to do an awesome job and we're going to be out on time today. And that's generally speaking, I really love that both of you guests just got up and were able to join in. Rich, it's just inspiring how you just dive in. I loved your enthusiasm last week. You're like, I'm all in, let's do this. And you never look back. And so it's really inspiring. I appreciate that. And James, it was great just to get to know a little bit about you today. Well, thank you very much. And back over to our president.
Thank you, Sarah. That was a great evaluation. General evaluation of the meeting. Way to go. So now what I want to do is if you have, we'll start with rewards, but if you'll if you got a 1-pager, turn your sheet over and you'll see the schedule there. So what I would like to do is give just kind of golf clap. And if you notice, James, Rich, you've been here before, we clap after when we're introducing somebody. So we're really trying to simulate if you were speaking in front of a crowd and people are clapping. So it's just it's almost the behavioral conditioning type of thing. So you notice that sometimes it's like, are we supposed to clap? And then you see us handshake when we give away the podium. We always want to make sure somebody's standing here until somebody comes up and takes the podium control away. And so there's some interesting things that you probably have noticed, and that's all for a reason. We do all that for a reason. So I do want to give to our guests that were here, even Alex. I know Alex was working. He just put a note up there that he's still kind of working. He's got it on in the background, or had it on in the background. But thank you too for participating today. I know how it is. I remember my first meeting. This was back in 2012. Was the first time that I came to a Fresno City Toastmasters meeting. I just remember it was a big group. We were meeting at City Hall, lots of folks, and there were folks when I was at that point, 2012, 32 years old, 10 years later.
The lie was working.
Huh?
The lie was working.
And so everybody to me looked like they were more versed in their age, very much. So I was pretty intimidated when I first came. So I didn't really do a lot. I didn't say too much. I was learning, just kind of watching how things worked. And then I started jumping in as I got into more of the meeting. So I appreciate you too. So let's give Rich and James, our jazz hands if we're online. And of course to our crew here for wearing multiple hats. So Chanel being here, and Sarah, way to go. And then Corinne for joining a little bit late. I know I told everybody you had a deposition today, so that's a pretty important thing. Hopefully everything went well. I'm sure we'll catch up on that, how that went. So with that, let's look at the schedule. So next week we have Fat Tuesday, February 21st, same time, same place, same bat channel. Anybody want to jump in and speak? Obviously, guess you guys are off the hook here. Corinne, Sarah, Chanel, do you want to try it maybe next week, or you want 2 weeks?
I'm not going to be here next week.
Sarah's not going to be here.
Joey, I think that I need to be more honest with myself about my availability right now.
It's gonna be tough.
With work has been crazy, and I'm back at school, and
It's gonna be tough.
I don't think that it's gonna happen.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. Sarah?
Next week is President's Day, and usually we'll take if it's a holiday week, we usually take it off. I don't know if we wanted to do that again or not. I won't be here anyway, so that's up to you guys.
You. So want to do a by raise of hands, who can make it next week for next meeting? Next week? Yeah, James? Yeah. Corinne?
Yeah, I'll be there next week.
Okay, well, let's do it. Go along with it. Usually we'll sign off like Christmas, Thanksgiving, like really big ones, Easter. I guess it depends, and we'll do this too. Those ones are big ones typically, or people are out of town, and it's not even worth putting a thing together. So yeah, so let's stay on for next week, and we'll do that. So good call there, Sarah. So no speakers as of now. How about our big ones, the Toastmaster, General Evaluator, and our table topics?
I will take the table topic because probably I have not done a lot lately in that department. And then I can be your accounter and your grammarian. So I'll take too many duties so that I can compensate for my late intrusion today.
Well, you had two depositions in 2 weeks, so that's good.
I know.
That's good. All right, and then Chanel.
I'll be Toastmaster.
Want to do Toastmaster? Okay, Chanel, and then I'll take the general eval. I'll take Zoom. I can take timer, or unless Chanel, you want to do it. I know everybody loves timer.
I can do timer.
You want to do timer? Okay, and I think that's good there. And then for Sarah, Corinne, did you want to jump in speech-wise on the 28th or the 7th of March?
It's hard for me to tell now, so I'll just let you know next week.
Okay, sounds like a plan. You too, Sarah?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I got her on the mute. I read her lips. Okay.
What does that mean exactly when you're a member and you have a speech? What is that? I guess you have a speech for this.
So you'll give your first speech, and that would be for new members. That would be your icebreaker. And icebreakers I mean, it's not simple to give it, but it's simple speech. It's about you. You could take it however you want. It's a 4 to 6 minute speech. It's really one of the only shorter speeches, 4 to 6 minutes. So that's, our green on 4,
Just about you as a person.
about you. So typically what the structure of that is, you can do, and I told this to Corinne when he first joined, is you can do it in a chronological fashion where you go through your history, just chronologically, maybe hitting some big milestones and catch us up to speed to why you're joining Toastmasters. That's generally, and then, or you can do like what I did is I zoomed in on an area of my life that was very character building. And then that's what I connected to why I joined Toastmasters. You could do it any way you want. It's really the only thing I think you have to do in the speech is a decent introduction. So the introduction is, and that's not like it has to be complicated or anything. We always say in the introduction, it's tell them what you're going to tell them. The body of it is tell them. And then this conclusion is tell them what you just told them. That's really what it is. Tell them what you're going to tell them what you just told them. So that's really what the introduction is. And I think that's the only real thing for the icebreaker, right? Is just the introduction, a decent introduction.
Yes, so I would say giving speeches is really an important part of Toastmasters. And I don't know if we explained last week, but when you join Toastmasters, there's a curriculum that you get to use online, and it walks you through a series of speeches. I think there's about maybe a dozen speeches. They call it pathways in one path. And so you do that you can do it as fast or as slowly as you want to. And each of those speeches, it takes you through educational material, and it focuses on a different aspect of speaking, such as like one of the modules is how to structure a good speech, how to use good research. It talks about how to use body movement in an effective way, hand language. It talks about vocal inflection. It talks about eye contact. It talks about how to use humor in a speech in an effective way. So you really haven't gotten a great glimpse of that the last couple of weeks, because we haven't been giving any speeches. We've just been doing the table topics, but it's really getting in and doing the speeches and taking that time to practice is how you would get the most out of Toastmasters.
Yeah, I may just do an impromptu one. It won't have anything to do with my pathway. Maybe I'll do that for next week. I'll put myself down just so that we can get a good idea of what that would look like. I'll just give a past speech that I've given before.
Yeah,
Simple for me.
I could do the same too.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I've been here for a while. Chanel's been here for a while too. And so we've given a lot of our speeches. We're giving a lot of speeches. And so for us, you've seen it run a little slower, but our new guests typically come in are giving more speeches more often because you're trying to get better at that. So maybe I'll give and if Chanel wants to do, we can do a couple, we can team up next week, do some impromptu. Yeah, out of the archive, out of the Disney vault. Does that sound good? Yeah. Any questions on that from you guys? Good. All right. So I think we're good. We're set up for next week. And any questions, comments, or criticisms, and we can do this also outside too. We don't have to fit it in the next 2 minutes that we have left here. But are there any questions, comments, or criticisms? James, how'd you find us?
Online.
Okay.
The Toastmasters.
Google.
Yeah.
Did you go to the main Toastmaster site and find a location or something?
I've looked before, and this one just was like Tuesday. That works for me. So.
Right. Yep. And that's what we discussed at the open house, is that this is, I think Rich had a question, and we were saying, well, there's other clubs that you can go to. I think ours is part of the uniqueness is that we meet on Tuesday for an hour from lunch, 12 to 1. And some of the other ones you probably found will meet on Monday from 5 to 7 or from 6 to 8 or whatever, 2 hours, 3 hours, whatnot. And for some of that works better. For us, this just works better for us to get it out of the way, knock it out on it every Tuesday, 12 to 1. So that's one of the uniquenesses I think about ours. Cool. So you came in, did you have any thoughts on the meeting today? How it went? Your first time?
Yeah. No. I mean, one of my little things is I'm sort of a little bit of a ringer. So just like done speaking. So I don't know how that's going to be viewed.
No, that's okay. Everybody comes in at different levels.
So,
yeah.
What's your interest in?
I'm not sure yet. I'm getting into have an AARP card now, so I have to start looking ahead to, what am I going to do with my time? Not that I'm actually retired, but, what am I going to do? And so I'm looking for, I guess, more community involvement maybe as part of it, that sort of thing.
Yeah, very cool. And Rich, being second meeting, anything else like come up?
As far as just.
Comments?
Oh, I mean, it's like.
Because you got to get in open house with free food. I mean, drinks. I will know.
He was there last
I-
week, right?
No, I wasn't.
Which
Wasn't the open
I
house?
wasn't at the open
It
house.
wasn't the
Oh, wasn't the
That's
open
why
house? I thought you were at the open
Richard
house.
mentioned open
That's
house.
right, last week. I keep thinking
Like,
that
I
Rich
think
was
they
there.
did free food.
Then
Yeah,
I'm
he
like,
must have been in there in
you know,
spirit with
right,
me.
I'm like, well, I had open house Saturday. But, yeah, what is open? No, I was here last week. It was just
Mhm.
regular.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, like I said, I'm just trying to, just get more relaxed and like confident from people and speaking because going forward, I do want to do a lot. Like I think I mentioned, I want to start doing more public speaking, like maybe a year, 2 years, when I'm better. But I see that going that way. There's a lot, needing real estate and, just giving, going on stage, probably presenting presentations, seminars and things like that. So just gotta get myself ready for that.
Very cool. Well, thanks you two for coming and sharing. And Alex isn't here. He had to get off to work. And Corinne, thanks for joining us for the last
You're
half hour.
welcome.
Appreciate your presence, brother.
Yeah.
Did you hear Chanel?
No, I didn't. What?
I said I like all of your books.
Oh, thank you. Yeah. That's just a part of it. I have so many, I don't know where to put them.
He's got them buried in duffel bags in his yard. Well, thanks, Corinne. Thanks for joining us, and
You're
we'll sign
welcome.
off.
Yeah. Bye-bye.
Thank you, sir. Yep.